I'll admit something. When I saw Tuli working off to the side, my first reaction wasn't to calculate contract numbers or pass rush paths. It was feeling like a defense ready to build its identity was suddenly incomplete. But camp has a ruthless way of revealing character. One player steps out, another has to grow. One job looks open, and every front office choice carries more weight. We're walking straight into that discomfort today, because how Los Angeles responds now could shape this team's confidence long after July. If you demand ambition from the Chargers too, subscribe right now. Some answers are already emerging in the last place anyone wanted to look. The image does not sit right. Tuipulotu is on the field, near his teammates, but out of teamwork while that new contract remains unfinished. A defense built to control games in January cannot freeze and wait. Chris O'Leary is installing his system. Those snaps have to belong to somebody, and Akeem Mesidor is getting the kind of exposure that can turn a talented rookie into a real option when the season tests the depth chart. That does not make Tuli's situation desirable. It makes Mesidor's response meaningful. O'Leary explained that every bit of exposure is incredibly valuable for rookies and young players, especially when they are moving across different positions. So Los Angeles's first-round pick is not merely filling an empty space. He is getting a chance to study the starting offense, adjust his hands, understand angles, and find out how his speed translates once the action stops looking like a spring workout. Mesidor already knows the strain of extended starter reps after a long college football playoff run. Now he faces NFL details every day at a different speed. This is the part that genuinely fires me up. O'Leary said Mesidor arrived operating like a pro, mature, serious about taking care of his body, and blessed with natural pass rush ability in his hands, bend, and first step. Camp can add what no college evaluation fully provides: answers against NFL players, responsibility inside the scheme, and enough confidence to stay dangerous when a play changes after the snap. Khalil Mack sees it too. He avoided piling expectations on the kid, but called the coming year exciting and praised Mesidor's serious approach. The rookie's questions may be even more revealing. He wanted to know how Mack thought during his 2016 Defensive Player of the Year season, and what the veteran sees at the line when the call comes in. That is not curiosity for show. That is a young player stealing years of experience one detail at a time. Of course, practicing without the complete rotation does not award sack titles or promise immediate impact. The pads and the fight against the run will demand another answer. But the third edge rusher can become one of the top two with a single play. The Chargers learned that when Mack was injured early last season. Every first-team rep Mesidor receives is like an emergency deposit. Today, he learns beside the starters. Tomorrow, he may be asked to keep the entire structure standing. There is a strategic payoff as well. If Mesidor proves he can line up in different spots, O'Leary gains freedom to move Tuli and Mack, disguise where the pressure is coming from, and force opposing protections to communicate more. The temporary absence of a star raises a better question than simply who gets the snaps. How much more dangerous can this defense become when everyone is finally together? That future is being tested right now. While the defense turns discomfort into development, offensive help could come from outside El Segundo. Patriots receiver Kayshon has been mentioned as a possible Chargers trade target. The logic works, but only at the right scale. He would not be asked to rescue the receiver room. He would be a young, vertical, potentially affordable bet to expand Justin Herbert's options. Boutte is 24 and entering the final year of his rookie contract. In 2025, he caught 33 passes for 551 yards and 6 touchdowns in 14 games. His 16.7-yard average explains the interest. He threatens outside, forces corners to respect the deep ball, and can turn a tight window into an explosive gain. In Mike McDaniel's offense, functional speed does more than catch passes. It shifts coverage and opens the rest of the design. Ladd McConkey remains the centerpiece. Quentin Johnston, Trey Harris, and Brennan Thompson already offer size, youth, and acceleration. Boutte would not carry the burden of becoming the #1 receiver. That makes the possibility attractive. Herbert would gain another experienced target, while McDaniel could hunt matchups, keep legs fresh, and choose who attacks deep based on the coverage. The price still matters. New England has no reason to hand away a productive receiver just because his contract is nearing the end. Los Angeles would have to weigh the compensation, the room available in the rotation, and the odds of extending him later. If the asking price climbs too high, the deal loses its appeal. If the cost lands around a late-round pick, Joe Ortiz should at least stay in the conversation. My read is simple. A good opportunity does not require desperation. It requires attention. Boutte is not a promised trade. His age, role, and the Chargers' need line up naturally. If Herbert can gain another vertical weapon without mortgaging the future, that door deserves to stay unlocked. It also leads to the offensive issue no receiver move can hide. Before chasing another explosive threat, the Chargers must decide who will keep the pocket from collapsing inside. Day 3 of training camp. A third different face working with the first team at left guard. This time it was Trey Pipkins during 11-on-11 periods, while Kayode Awosika remained in the rotation. Awosika had taken most of the early opportunities, Jake Slaughter mixed in, and Trevor Penning split reps as well. I understand competition. What I will not accept is anyone treating fan concern like impatience without a memory. We have seen the cost of an interior line that takes too long to find answers. Herbert got knocked down. The offense lost time before plays could develop. And we still carry that brutal image of the quarterback being pulled off the turf at Gillette Stadium after the playoff loss. When 4 players move through one job in 3 days, nobody should demand applause for variety. The rotation may be a method. It may also reveal that the solution has not convinced anyone. Pipkins knows this team and has played guard in the NFL. In 2024, he started 15 games on the right before moving back to tackle the next season. Testing him on the left challenges his experience, strength, and versatility. But sliding a veteran inside does not magically fix the protection. The plant foot changes. His combinations with Rashawn Slater and Tyler Biadasz need timing. Mike McDaniel also wants blockers who can move in space without surrendering immediate pressure. Awosika arrived with experience from Detroit and opened camp in front. Penning brings size and a starter's background, even if his career still needs stability. Slaughter was selected in the 2nd round after playing center at Florida, and he is learning a new position. Every candidate has a case. None of them has provided the comfort of a settled answer yet. That difference sits at the center of this debate. People will say July exists for experimentation. Fair. McDaniel prefers evaluating linemen after the pads come on and they actually block someone. Closing the competition before that test would make no sense. But the front office had resources to chase a more obvious solution and chose a competition among different profiles. That moved the risk into camp. Hordes and Harbaugh must prove that many candidates can produce one quality starter. The best outcome is Pipkins surprising everyone on the left, Awosika locking down the communication, Slaughter speeding up his transition, or Penning finally turning his tools into consistency. I do not care which resume wins. I care about Herbert finishing plays on his feet. The winning guard must hold firm inside, reach the 2nd level in outside zone, and keep pressure from flashing directly across the quarterback's face. That makes the next week more important than one morning's order. Watch who stays with the first team in pads, avoids penalties, answers after losing a rep, and earns the trust of the players beside him. Real competition narrows. If the rotation keeps spinning without anyone taking the job, the outside noise will become fair, loud, and impossible to silence. This position is not an isolated laboratory. It is the scar separating McDaniel's creativity from Herbert's survival. Maybe that is why Tuli's situation carries so much weight. Los Angeles is still searching for a starter on offense. On defense, it knows what it found. Tuipulotu arrived as the 54th pick in the 2023 draft, grew inside this building, and just produced 13 sacks. At 23, he is not a luxury. He is a rare, homegrown answer teams spend years trying to develop. The hold-in lets Tuli protect his body and use his leverage while his agent negotiates. He reports, handles the required work, and avoids team reps that could risk a life-changing contract. Wednesday, he worked separately without full practice gear. Thursday, he suited up for individual drills but stayed out of team sessions. The distance is shrinking. The signature is not there yet. Chris O'Leary said the defense keeps moving with the available players, though it misses Tuli's voice and his plays. Derwin James called the standoff part of the business and reminded everyone that the love remains. Khalil Mack, who has lived through enormous negotiations, talked with the young edge rusher about business and life. That hits me because Tuli is not isolated. Men who understand the weight of proving your value and asking the organization to recognize it are guiding him. Bolt fam, go full charge right here. A player who grew, produced, and became a pillar deserves this fan base behind him. That does not mean handing over any number. It means understanding the risk of delay. The longer the hold-in lasts, the more Mesidor learns. But the less time O'Leary has to unite his primary rotation. Development and urgency can share a room. One does not erase the other. Those 13 sacks in 2025, his 26 sacks across 3 seasons, and his growth as a leader place Tuli in a different tier of responsibility. The edge rusher market is expensive because quarterbacks change games, and the players who bring them down can change championships. Allowing this talent to move closer to free agency could make the conversation even heavier, especially if he matches or exceeds last season. My demand is emotional because the logic is strong. Find the structure, protect the cap where necessary, and pay a figure reflecting age, production, and future value. Joe Ortiz does not need panic. He needs to negotiate like someone who recognizes what is rare. Tuli loves practice, brings energy, and wants to be with the group. When a player stays present without surrendering his value, the organization should do its part to reunite him with his teammates. This camp is testing Los Angeles's courage. The talent is here. The hard part is knowing where to accelerate, where to stay patient, and where to stop negotiating with your own fear. That is how a roster stops looking promising and starts inspiring confidence. I want to reach September knowing every rep had purpose and every decision protected what this team can become. Grade Joe Ortiz's work, then tell me in the comments which move would change that grade. Subscribe for the next step. The Thunder is already inside the building. Now the organization must make sure it reaches Sundays intact.